how do you build your triceps? They make up the majority of your upper arm, and if you're really wanting to pop out of those shirts, then you definitely don't need to skip working out the triceps. And that's what we're talking about today, how to get the most out of your tricep exercises. So strap in, get ready for episode 157. Let's go.
I've always been that skinny guy.
Why can't I gain muscle mass?
What do I do in the gym?
They said I'd always be skinny.
This is your complete source for how to gain lean muscle and break out of your skinny body. From nutrition to getting the most out of your workouts and everything in between. We know just how frustrating gaining muscle mass can be, but don't worry, we've got you covered. You're listening to the Bones to Bulk podcast.
Hey, welcome to today's episode. My name is Brian Parody. I will be your host today. And before we dive into today's episode, if you have not joined our text community, please text the word podcast to 706-222-7551. Each week, I send out a few texts. It can be sometimes just a motivational kick in the pants. Sometimes it's recipes. And just, it's a great way to stay connected. You can shoot me messages on there. I do respond. So I just love the community aspect that brings. So if you've not done that, again, text podcast to 706-222-7551. All right, with that being said, let's dive in. So when it comes to, building your triceps, we probably all are familiar with several of the tricep exercises, things like overhead tricep extensions, skull crushers, tricep kickbacks, tricep pushdowns. There's a lot of good exercises, but are we doing those exercises right? And I want to kind of touch on each individual one and talk through some ways to get more bang for your buck, so to speak, out of those exercises. So for number one, let's talk about the skull crusher. Typically, skull crushers are done with an easy curl bar. If you don't have an easy curl bar, I would suggest using dumbbells as a second option. You want to kind of lay with your head on the edge of a bench. And, typically you put your arms straight up above you and you bend backwards to the forehead, right? Well, that's not really the best way to do it. Instead, when you bring your arms up, you want to keep them at about a 45-degree angle backwards rather than just 90 degrees straight above you. The reason for this is when we put them directly above ourselves to where they're at a 90-degree angle, there's no tension placed on the triceps. Instead, we're almost in a resting phase. And so by keeping them backwards in a 45-degree angle, you're keeping the stress up on the triceps. Then when you bend back, you don't just want to bend to your forehead. You want to bend behind your head. The reason for this, again, you're going to get more stretch, which is ultimately going to result in better gains. So I don't know, how you're doing your typical skull crushers, but you definitely want to make adjustments and to try this out because I'm telling you, it's definitely going to hit harder. Also, be forewarned, you're not going to be able to do as much weight doing it this way. So drop the weight till you get comfortable with it and then kind of up the weight from there. All right, the second exercise I want to dive into is the tricep pushdowns. A lot of us will get the rope handle and you kind of push it just down. And there's a couple mistakes we make with this. One, we usually stand too close to the cable. We stand directly up against it and then just push down with the ropes. You want to back off a little bit, take a couple steps back so you have the cable coming at you more of at an angle rather than straight down. The reason for this is, again, it just puts your arms in a better position so that when you push down, you're getting more of a stretch as opposed to if you were right up on the cable. Now, also, when you're doing these tricep pushdowns, you want to make sure that when you push all the way down, to where your triceps are fully contracted, and then when you come up, you want to come up just slightly past 90 degrees. The reason for this is it's just, again, going to provide just a little extra stretch and then push down again. On all these two, you want to make sure that you're going nice and slow on the movements. Make sure that your arm is just hinging at the elbow, that you're not incorporating your shoulder into these movements, that you're not incorporating your whole body into these or your upper traps or anything like that. You want to make sure that literally the only thing moving is your arm, just hinging at that elbow, working the tricep. The next exercise that you definitely should be doing if you're not are tricep kickbacks. And I like doing these with a dumbbell. You can do them with a cable system if you have that available, but I like using dumbbells. And basically what you're going to do is you're going to kind of bend over a little bit. So I like to usually grab a bench, put it at about a 45-degree angle and kind of lean over it with one arm. And then with the other arm, again, you're holding it tucked into your side So your elbow is basically close to your ribs, and then you're just pushing backwards. Again, just hinging at the elbow. So you're pushing the dumbbell back and up to get that full stretch, and then nice slow back forward. Again, the same principles apply. You don't want to rush through this, and you don't want to involve other muscles, especially you don't want your shoulder jumping in on this one. So make sure that, again, the arm is just hinging at the elbow, that you're not moving anything else in regards to that. Now, the tricep muscle is responsible for a lot of just daily movements. We use it a lot, and we often don't realize that the tricep makes up a larger portion of our upper arm than the biceps do. We place so much emphasis on the biceps, and don't get me wrong, you should definitely, work out the biceps, but if you're really trying to gain mass on your arm, you definitely don't want to skip focusing on the tricep, because so much more arm density comes from that muscle. Now, another exercise that I really like is the overhead tricep extension. And you can do this with several things. You can use a dumbbell, you can use a cable machine that's set at a low setting. So like drop the cable arm all the way down and then grab the rope handle behind you, and you're pulling it up and over your head. And as you pull it up and over your head, you're going to spread the rope handle apart, like you're trying to spread your hands as far as they can go. You can also do this with a dumbbell again, or with a plate. It's the same principle. You basically are going to lift the plate or the dumbbell behind your head, and your elbows are going to be basically on either side of your head. Your hands should be right near your ears or just behind them. And then you're just going to, again, hinge at the elbows and lift the plate or the dumbbell straight up and then straight back down in a nice slow movement. On this one, I do like to use the cables better. I put a rope handle on there just because I feel like the tension is a little bit more fluid throughout, and also it gives you the chance to, again, spread that rope handle apart and move your hands wider than if you were holding a dumbbell or a plate. So I really like that done on the cable machine. There are other things that can definitely work out our triceps. If you're limited on weight, you can definitely do diamond push-ups or tricep push-ups. You can do even bench press. You can do the bench press with a really close grip, lower the weight quite a bit, and you're going to heavily more involve your triceps. Don't get me wrong, there's going to be other muscle groups involved on that, even with a close grip bench press, but you are going to hit the triceps a little bit more than if you were just doing a regular bench press. So that's kind of I'm not going to say that's all of the tricep exercises by any means, but those are the ones you definitely want to be incorporating into your workout. If you don't, all those are really great. And with my workout routine, I typically do each muscle group twice a week, and so change up some of the exercises. You don't have to do all those in one day, but do some of them one day, some of them on the second day of the week that you're working that muscle group out, and try different ones. We're all going to like and gravitate towards different exercises and like different ones, and that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that, but also just make sure you're pushing yourself outside of your comfort zone and doing ones that you don't like as well, because we can get complacent and comfortable to where we just do what's easy for us in the gym, and we don't really push ourselves and do the hard things. And that's typically what really pushes us beyond our comfort zone, pushes us outside of our physical capabilities, and really helps us to develop and grow muscle more effectively. So I hope this gives you some good ideas for how to really start developing and growing the triceps. If there's one takeaway, well, a couple takeaways real quick on all these exercises. Pretty much on every single one, you want to keep the elbows tucked in nice and close to the sides, and you're only hinging at the elbow. Don't involve the shoulder, don't move the whole arm, you're just hinging at the elbow. So if you're not able to do that, you find other muscles are jumping in, lower the amount of weight you're doing. It's okay. This isn't an ego issue. Like, check that crap at the door and focus on your form. Also, go nice and slow in all these movements. Don't try to kill it and crush it on your first go around. Like, just focus on your form and build up to it. All right, thank you so much for listening. If you're on any social media platform, please come check us out. We are at Bones to Bulk everywhere on IG. We have a great Facebook group, a YouTube channel where I really dive into exercises and demonstrate a lot of them. It's youtube.com/bones to bulk. So hit me up on any of these platforms. I'd love to connect with you. And with that being said, remember, no matter what anybody is telling you or what walls you're facing, what things you're coming up against, you can accomplish your fitness goals. You've got this.